Yo.
Yeah, ideally I want to do this in the studio more often and try to get like a nice light setup and all that.
Bro, it's we're trying to do something similar, and yeah, it's just trying to get the right, you know, the right components in place to make it all work. But I'm liking what's going on right now, you know.
What you been up to?
I honestly not too much. I've been like pretty strict with the with like the COVID protocol, so I haven't been really leaving my house too much. I haven't really been doing anything crazy, so it's good because I'm in my apartment. I'm in like a space that I'm usually not in all the time, believe it or not. Like, you know, I'm used to traveling and, you know, masquerading around the country and stuff. So this period of COVID has given me a lot of time to like reflect and think, and it's given me like a platform to like really like jump Dem Juans off of the diving board almost. I've kind of gone like full head into trying to become uh this brand designer almost, where it's like I have my idea, I know exactly what I want to do, and it's like I need to get to where I want to be. And this time of COVID has really given me time to focus on that.
And if people who don't know what Dem is, it you said Dem John, is it Dem Johns or Dem Juans?
It's Dem Juans. So
Dem Juans.
I'll give you a little backstory. In college, I went to Syracuse. I played soccer at Syracuse, and you know, upstate New York, central New York, CNY. It's right. The biggest, I would say, like, you know, metropolis besides like Buffalo and Rochester is Toronto. So Syracuse recruited a lot of players from like the lower Ontario region. So all of my teammates when I get to university are all from Canada, and they all bring this new slang to me. And you know, I'm from New Jersey, so I'm used to saying, you know, things like dead ass and bet. And then this influence of Toronto and West Indian culture onto me like really made a big impact on me. So they would say this thing all the time, and it's them ones, and it really means like you say them ones when something happens a lot that you can relate to. So it's like, oh, I stubbed my toe. And you're like, oh, I know them ones. Or it's like,
it's kind of like, it sounds like Jamaican almost.
Yes, it is, because because Toronto, that West Indian culture, that Jamaican culture, is so prevalent. So I took that and I just slightly changed the spelling a bit, and that's how I got Dem Juans. And it's like it's a huge testament to my former teammates, and it honestly started as like this inside joke that we had. But then when I started to get like more seriously into photography in university, and started to like, I was looking for a place to post photos. I didn't want to post anything on Facebook. Flickr is honestly a great place to post, but you know, I wanted something a bit more personal than that. So I started the blog Dem Juans, and it was just a place to post my photographs from my time in college, and it really has grown from there. And it's really interesting to see what people think of it, because like for me, it just started out as a passion project, and now it's turning into this whole brand, which is so exciting for me, you know?
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, how much of that do you feel like you're working on compared to your photography right now?
So right now, I'd say I'm working on Dem Juans probably like 65, 70%, just because I have the time to do it and it's right in front of me. And Dem Juans is very much influenced on like where I am at the current time. So it has a lot of like roots in Montclair, New Jersey, my hometown, a lot of roots in East Williamsburg, Brooklyn, where I live right now. And so I can go outside and get inspiration. On the photography side, I'm super used to traveling and shooting games and following this culture. And without fans right now, honestly, it's been a bit difficult to you know, spark a passion where I feel like it's a bit forced, you know, where it's like I have to go to a stadium, I'm in the stands, there's no fans. Like honestly, I think one of the main things that made me the photographer I am are fans and that culture, because I'm so immersed in it myself, being a soccer fan, you know?
Yeah.
So football without fans is nothing. And I'm really looking forward to the fans coming back in the stadium so I can get back busy, because I miss the sights, the sounds, the smells. You know, you can go to a stadium and it's a shell. It's like it's just a place where players play. It's like the fans are and the vendors and the people are what makes the stadium great. I've always said, like, is there really a home field advantage with no fans? You know,
Right.
so when they come back, I literally am itching at the skin to get back because I miss it so much.
Hmm. Yeah, I think soccer has one of those most like unique circumstances when it comes to fans, because you look at all the other sports, they're more obnoxious in other sports, and then when it comes to soccer, it's like a big family environment. Like down here in Atlanta, like if you're a part of like that crew, all the people know who you are and stuff like that. They take care of you. Man, being down in the Gulch for a game, it's like a really unique experience, getting to
Oh man,
hang out with everybody down there. Uh,
dude, I remember that was where we first met, was Atlanta United, and that brought
yeah.
us together. And it's like Atlanta is so special because it's a new culture. Like, we can't
Hmm.
sugarcoat it. It's a brand new club, but what's so cool is like all of the fans in Atlanta like have really taken upon themselves to turn it into something very special. And it's very
Yeah.
Atlanta, you know. It's like there's a lot of hip hop,
Hmm.
there's a lot of Latin culture, like, you
Hmm.
know, Atlanta United 1.0 with Tata was like such an incredible time, honestly, in my life.
Hmm.
Uh, because I know a couple players in the team, mainly Miles, because I played with him in college, or we overlapped in college a bit. And it's just so incredible to see, you know, a place that has a stadium that has like 70,000 people and it's packed out for a
Yeah.
Major League Soccer game. You know, I come from a place uh, where stadiums are no more than 25,000, and at times they're not packed out. But you go to Atlanta and it's like this brand new culture, and it's so new, and everyone is so united, and
Right.
it's like everyone is really wants this one goal, and it's like you go down there and it's like, wow, like, am I potentially like in a little European style setup where it's like you have like 20, 30, 40,000 fans marching to the game at once, and you have
Hmm.
this camera, and it's like adrenaline is coming down your entire body the whole time. You're like,
Oh
oh
yeah.
my God, I need to get these shots. Oh my God, I hope I don't run out of shots. I hope I charge my batteries. Hold up, let me just bring not one, not two, let me bring 3 cameras to a march, you know? It's like the that kind of stuff. Like, I'm thinking about it now, just getting super excited about it, you know? So
Yeah.
yeah, it's so special.
Oh, dude, down here, I mean, I grew up down here, and for the longest time, football was kind of like king down here, and football being
Yeah.
American football. And I think a lot of people were kind of nervous and scared to bring soccer up to that level, because to be like quite honest, like a lot of people saw it as like kind of like people. I played soccer growing up too, and it's kind of a pansy sport.
Yeah.
Like the girls played soccer, that was really it.
Yeah.
Down here we play football. We're tough guys, and now I think there was so many people that were getting told that on a day-to-day basis, that when Atlanta stepped up and got a team, everybody that would hear that for years came out and said, "No, see, we're the shit.
Yeah.
We knew we were the shit the whole time." And now those people that were calling players pansies and stuff are going to games and
Bro,
bringing
it's so,
people together.
yeah, it's great to see. It's like it's kind of like, I would say it's like pretty American, where it's like everyone will, you know, kind of like talk down to something until it's right in front of them. And it's like all these people, it's like soccer culture in the past 5 years has exploded. Like
Oh yeah.
you're seeing like people wear Atlanta United jerseys as fashion statements. You're seeing,
Hmm.
because it looks sick. Like, it, you know, I would say it's an homage to my Metro Stars, but we don't need to get into that. But it's like you see people wearing Juventus kits now. You see people wearing United kits. You see people wearing Arsenal kits, and it's like MLS is not is part of that. Like,
Yeah.
you, there are some kits in MLS that look really good with some jeans and some Air Forces, you know. And it's like, I think the fact that um, everyone is so united in this, and it's like it's helping to convert people to convert football fans. Like, oh man, if there's 50, 60,000 people going to a game, and I don't really understand soccer, but like I want to see what this is about, because
Mm-hmm.
football culture, like soccer culture, is completely different than American football culture, like you said.
Yeah.
It's American football culture is how do I even describe it? It's so aggressive. It's so American almost. It's like
It's,
almost a bit predictable, I'd say. And
yeah.
when it comes to like, soccer culture, I think it's way more tribal, and it goes way deeper than just supporting a team name. Like in in America, we have like the whole franchise model. So we have like, the single ownership, and every like club is a franchise of that league. But we see with football that's like these are individual clubs. Like people support a club, not a franchise, and I think that resonates with a lot of people. It's like this is completely separate. This is a completely different tune than something I've ever seen before, and I like it.
Yeah.
And I think that's the case with a lot of these American cities, where it's like they're looking for something authentic that they can confide in. And I think a lot of these MLS teams and a lot of these football teams, like soccer teams, no matter what level, like you see it at Detroit City, who's not in MLS, and you see teams in the USL with unbelievable support, and you're even seeing, the women's league with unbelievable support. And it's like I
Yeah.
love to see it, because, like you said, growing up, we were soccer players, and we were always getting like, people were always questioning us, like, why are you playing soccer? You could be playing basketball, you could be playing football. And it's like, no, this is special. This is
Mm-hmm.
very special. And it's like we're on it from time, and now it's really cool to see other people, jump on the ship.
Yeah, it's kind of like following our generation in a way. Like it's growing more along with us around our age, which is really cool to see because I've heard it being predicted to be one of the top three sports in the
Mm,
next 5-10 years because of how many people are backing it now. Like you have celebrities, uh, being part owners in teams now.
mm,
Uh, there's talks of bigger stars coming over this way. I mean, of course, I don't want it to be the place where they go and
retire.
retire and shit.
Yeah,
But it's it could end up being the place where they come because we might have the money for them, that type of money that they want.
exactly. I mean, you can look at like Miguel Almiron, like I said, Atlanta United, like 1.0 or whatever you want to call it. That first iteration of it was
Yeah.
so special. Like I was at the home opener at Bobby. I was at the first game at Bobby Dodd. That was incredible. I was at the first game at Mercedes Benz. You see like these teams plucking these like players from these South American clubs,
Mm-hmm.
and they come over and they're absolute ballers, and they're elevated in a way that they weren't necessarily elevated back in their country. And it's like you see Joseph Martinez, like what a god, honestly. He just like walks on water. Like he can do no wrong. And it's like I absolutely, like I said, love to see it. And MLS, I think what a lot of people are forgetting is that MLS is like 25 years old. And when you're trying to, go against the EPL or the Bundesliga or Ligue 1 or Serie A, like these leagues are 100, they're old leagues, they're established leagues. And it's like, you know what? MLS is growing differently than these leagues because there's social media and, there's internet and stuff, and all these other leagues are like super old institutions. But I think MLS is doing a great job. And then
Yeah, that
I also,
benefits the MLS for sure. Being
it
young and
does.
being able to take on the media like that. Yeah.
Well, I think also it's like the sport of soccer. I think that in America, it was always going to grow exponentially, because if you look at other sports like football, you need pads, you need you wear helmets, you can't see your face. With hockey, you need all this gear. With soccer, all you need is a ball, and it's a parallel with basketball, because all you need
Yeah.
for basketball is a basketball court and a ball. You don't need anything else. You can wear running shoes, you can wear no shoes. Same with soccer. It's like all you need is a ball and a goal. And it's like the more access we give to these like young players, and the more support we give, it's like it's inevitable that we're gonna win the World Cup. I'll say it now. It's inevitable, because we have
As a US
300 million
team.
people. Yes, I think we'll win the World Cup. I'm not gonna say a year, but it's inevitable in my lifetime that we're going to win a World Cup.
Mm.
And that might be a hot take, but the way that we're trending now, I
Well, we have
feel so implied.
don't we have an issue with like the upper management of the U.S. men's team? Like it's more so like the training, like they're not recruiting really well and stuff like that.
Well, I think that like U.S. soccer has gone through like a bit of a, not renaissance is probably the wrong word, but they're
Enlightenment.
they're transitioning from like one way of playing, of one
Mhm.
way of going about things, because like for a long time that was like the only way that they could do things,
Yeah.
because of limited resources or for whatever. And now it's like we're slowly seeing a transition into like this new wave of players, this new wave of culture. And a lot of us on the ground, we have a lot of things to say about it, and we think it should be going one way or another. But we're not in those rooms to make those decisions, and we don't know what's going into the decision making. And it's like so easy, I think, for people to get outraged about
Mhm.
what's going on with U.S. soccer. But we just had two really promising friendlies, and it's like I haven't been excited to watch a U.S. national team game in so long. And now we have players in the Champions League. We have players playing for Juventus alongside Cristiano Ronaldo, and Barcelona along Messi. Like, who would have thought,
Yeah.
honestly? And
Right.
it's like we have players who are chopping up in the Prem. We have really promising players in the Bundesliga, and it's like we're finally starting to see like and like U.S. soccer like innovate, and it's going to take a long time, unfortunately. And it's like I'm going to lose patience with it, but it's like we have to just back it. And
Mhm.
it's like if things go wrong, I think it's right to criticize it. Like, with the dual nationals, like I'm down with it. It doesn't matter, but we all need to work towards a goal, and we need to keep U.S. soccer honest. And when something goes awry or we lose a player, I think it's right for us to criticize them or question them, because it's like we have this like slight golden generation kind of popping up right in front of us,
Mhm.
and we got to keep them honest. And I think that that falls on us.
Mhm. Yeah, and going back to the MLS being one of the, leagues around the world taking on social media and social media platforms, pretty crazy. You're part of that. You're part of
Yes.
the MLS social team. What's that been like since you've been part of the MLS social team?
Well, I'm not like officially on the social team. I'm part of something called the Creators Network, which is just like a network of people who work for MLS like on a very fairly regular basis. And yeah, I'm part of it. Like we shoot games, we do photo shoots, we pitch ideas. It's
And you're part of building that culture.
yeah, and it's like I'm really happy that I can help build a culture, because I feel like I like on a personal level, I feel like I can guide it in the right direction where it's like keeping it honest and true.
Hmm.
But yeah, building something from the ground up and trying to pay respect to uh the past, and also with the eye to the future, is very tricky and challenging, because something you say or something you do can define a culture for like 5, 6, 7, 10 years, and you don't want to say or do the wrong things. But at the same time, you got to push the envelope, you got to keep doing that. And I feel like Creators Network has always given me opportunities to be true to who I am.
Yeah, and y'all definitely pushed the envelope in the bubble. Y'all did
Yes.
a lot, especially with what happened, on the outside of the bubble. Y'all definitely pushed the envelope when it came to like Black Lives Matter and
Yeah.
showing that the MLS really cared about that. Like a lot of your pictures went pretty viral with like Thierry Henry and then the guys in the studio. What was that experience like trying to showcase the movement through the MLS
Well,
media?
I would say that that time in the summer was so challenging for me on a personal level,
Mm.
because I felt like, first of all, let me just run it back.
Yeah.
George Floyd, all of that, like woke something up in me again. Not saying that I was asleep, but it like all of a sudden I was on this road to enlightenment, and I was obsessed with learning the truth, like learning what's actually happening, learning, like educating myself way more on systemic racism, uh, learning so much more about the culture. And it's like, at that point when that happened, I knew that, for the rest of the summer, the rest of the year, or, honestly, the rest of my life, I need to dedicate towards Black Lives Matter and social issues. And anything else that they wanted me to do, I was disinterested immediately. They were not they, but if someone asked me to shoot this or that had nothing to, it was like completely extraneous, I would reject it immediately, because I'm like, it doesn't matter. Like, there are things happening that are very important, and there are things happening that people should listen to, and I don't want to contribute to the chatter elsewhere. I don't want to shoot a campaign, and I don't want to do a boot shoot or something when this is happening.
You didn't want
I
to
don't.
help them sweep it under the rug, kind of.
No, yeah, like, and you know what? I felt like at the time, in the very beginning, corporations were not paying the right mind to this, and the right, and not giving it the right attention. And me being a sports photographer, being a soccer fanatic, I felt like there was only really one way for me to do this the right way, and it would only be through football. And I feel like in the bubble, when I was shooting when I was shooting the VPC shots, it was it felt like a passion project almost. It didn't feel like work. There were days when we were shooting, and it was not taking forever, but it was like, we're shooting players for like 6 hours, and this is 6 hours on and off throughout the day, where we have to shoot games, trainings, do random miscellaneous. When you're in the bubble and you're part of like the content team down there, you're part of the whole entire content team. So you have to do every little thing, anything that has a photo or video or sound. Like, I'm getting pulled on to help, focus pulled on the video, or I'm getting, brought in to do this. So like, I'm squeezing that into my day as well, but it never felt like work. I was like trying to get back to it. I was like, let's get more players in. Let's shoot bigger players. Let's get more Black players. Let's get all the Black players, because this is really important. In the summer was a time that like a lot of players and a lot of people were starting to listen to Black people more honestly, and not just rolling their eye, batting their eye at something, And I'm happy that I could contribute to helping write a conversation that, in my mind, has not been done well. And it's like, everyone is saying Black Lives Matter now. Everyone is doing this, and a lot of people and corporations are doing it just for show now, just to save face, to save money. But at the time, I really felt like I was making a humongous change, and I felt like, because of soccer, because my passion of soccer, and because I'm a Black man, like, this affects me. If I wasn't a photographer, if I was any other role, it would affect me. So me being down there and being able to work with it, it was like literally a dream come true, because during the protest, I wasn't really able to protest because I was, it was a pandemic as well. And I was hearing rumblings about, I was hearing rumblings about me going to Florida, and I didn't want to potentially get COVID and not be able to go to Florida, So
Yeah.
I felt like this was a great way for me to like really express how I felt, and express the things I was going through. And you know what? A lot of the players that I talked to down there were so excited. Like, and you can attest, a lot of players don't want to be at photo shoots all the time.
Oh yeah.
You try to get buddy with some players, they're like, get out of here. Like, let's get this over with. And this was one of the first times where players hopped into the studio and they were trying to chill. They're like, yo, I want more photos. Yo, let me see the process. Yo, this is so sick. What's your name? Because of that, I have such a great relationship with a lot of players in the league now.
Yeah.
And I really think it's just because of I'm honest, and I care about their well-being. Like, a lot of players in the shoot were like, oh man, we've never been asked to do a photo shoot before. And it's like, what? You're a pro player. Like,
Right.
you are living the dream. Like, you should be celebrated no matter if you play or if you don't play. Like, you achieved one of your dreams to be a professional soccer player. And it's like, you hear a lot of it, and a lot of black players are like, I've never even experienced this before except for like team photos. And I was really happy I could give them that experience.
Mm-hmm. No, I think it was definitely something special for a lot of the guys that, like they probably kind of went through the same thing you did, where
Yeah,
they really couldn't go to any of the protests either. They had to prepare to quarantine to go down to the bubble
yeah.
and play, but they, used every opportunity they could, especially with you guys, to make a statement. And I think it went really well. I think alongside the NBA, the MLS did a really, really good job. I wouldn't say the NFL has really done the best of jobs still. uh,
They're trying, but it's not good enough. But that's another topic.
Right. Yeah. What are some, you kind of mentioned like some other, corporations and stuff kind of, they're not really doing it for the truth. They're just
Yeah.
trying to do it to, stay along the lines of what's happening. What are some things that you see that kind of like are like red flags that they're doing that to your, like, what are you seeing?
Well, I'll tell you, when everything first happened, like nothing infuriated me more than like, we hear you, we see you, we stand with you.
Hmm.
Oh my God. That was just like, for me, that was a red flag. That's like a copy and paste. You're saying
Hmm.
that on all the posts. We hear you, we see you, we stand with you. Like, what does that even mean? What do you mean we stand with you? We were kneeling before. We were getting roasted for kneeling, you know?
Hmm.
Um, and you saw a lot of brands and a lot of companies post out these like generic statements about Black Lives Matter, and it's like, okay, it's obvious that you guys just want to align yourselves with a movement without actually doing anything, you know. Like, people are talking about, corporations are like, we're going to donate to this, we're going to donate to that, and it's like, all right, where are the receipts? Like, what's going to actually happen? What have you actually done, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like, on the other side of that, you got companies like Ben and Jerry's who are just like going all out for Black Lives Matter. And it's like, you love to see that.
Yeah.
And it's like, I think a lot of corporations are afraid to like lose some sort of corporate dollars, or, something. I don't know what they're afraid to lose. I don't know what they're afraid of, to
Hmm.
speak the truth. Like, Black Lives Matter. It's not controversial. It's not racist. We matter. And a lot of these corporations, they were like tiptoeing. They were like just barely getting there, just barely getting a decent enough statement out there, And that was, in the beginning, it was so frustrating when these leagues were apprehensive. But then what was even more frustrating was like the wave of, generic statements, like I said, that came out after one of the first, like maybe like, I don't know, NBA or whatever. Whenever they dropped this statement, and then everyone was like, okay, it's okay, it's PC to do this, and it's like, no, like, I'm looking for strong, poignant statements to speak out against systemic racism, and a lot of these corporations were not doing that, and it's like, people will say, we stand with Black lives, we're against police brutality or whatever, but it's like, all right, like I said, what have you done, you know?
Yeah, I think some of the most genuine things I saw were going back to the scenario with the NFL, like the players having to kind of go around the league to make the
Yeah.
statements that they did on social. Um, and who knows if the social team, caught shit for that, but like that's a genuine move. Um, like
And
actually hearing somebody come out and say that they care rather than it being some copy on a post and stuff like that. I felt like that was um, that's when I saw some of the most genuine responses.
yeah,
Like Ben and Jerry's was all out there on the protests and everything. They did all kinds of shit.
they were great, man. They were so great.
Yeah, they were really good. So for the people who don't know what bubble life is,
Hmm.
a lot of people probably, man, I didn't have the experience of going down to or going to any bubble,
Hmm.
but people kept asking me for some reason, thinking that I would know. What was the bubble life like?
Well, I'll say this. Like, I think people on the outside were chit chatting more than people on the inside, because my experience in the bubble was, honestly, it was like not too bad shabby. First of all, we're in a resort, so we're in an absolute Disney dream of a resort. Where, we
Did you
have,
play 3v3 by chance?
we got on the pitch a couple times. We not with the players, but we definitely kicked around a couple times because you're at like the Disney fields, like the field of your childhood dreams, you know?
Well, yeah, that's where
So
they hold the 3v3 nationals and stuff, or stuff like that. That's where we played in the summers too. So yeah.
yeah, bro. Like, and it's like I always say this: the South is so spoiled to have this incredible grass that they can kick ball on, the whole time. But yeah, the bubble life. So we're in a resort. We're getting tested every other day. It was a lot of work, honestly. I was like pretty burned out after, just because when you're there, you're on call almost, at all times of the day. Whenever there's like a little media request, any little thing, like you have to be there. And there's a team of three of us, four of us, who are like, creators network specific. So it was like me, Jared Martinez, Devin Lamoureux, and Casey Wirtz. And then we had like EG and a couple of like our more senior people there. But yeah, like we were working shifts. Like we had to shoot some trainings at like 7:15 in the morning, and then we had to shoot like a training, and then like a wave of arrivals when they got there. And then it's like when gameplay started, we had to shoot like triple header games sometimes, or double
Damn.
headers, where it's like we got a game at 7:30, then we got a game at 10. You got to get back to the studio, we get back to the hotel at 1, and then you got a 9 a.m. game the next day. You got to be there at like 7:30. So
Jeez.
I would definitely say it was a lot of work, but I think the things that made it worth it was, first of all, my workflow has completely changed because of that now, and now I can completely shoot and edit a game on my own, like during the game with a computer right next to me. So that is like the one thing that is drilled into me, which I'm very thankful for.
Yeah.
For the quick turn stuff, even though I don't really like doing quick turn things. But the downtime of the bubble was really just getting to know players and forging relationships with players, and becoming friends with these players who you've seen on TV for months and months and maybe even years. And it's like you get to talk with them, and everything was social distance from the players specifically.
Why do you feel like it's so frowned upon to have relationships with players being like one of the creative staff?
Honestly, like I didn't even know it was frowned upon. I love the relationship. I love the relationship because they're more comfortable in front of a camera for me.
Have you ever worked with like a team or organization in the past where they're just kind of like, do your thing, but like let's kind of not talk to the players and stuff like that?
Yes, actually, there have been times where it's like I've had to just put a photographer hat on, and I couldn't let this super colorful, explosive personality shine through. And it sucks because it's like it sucks because you feel like you're like chained to a fence, where it's like in the bubble, even though we're very strict, there's still so many opportunities to see players. Like you're at training and you're shooting training, and it's like there's the team, and then there's you, and then the players will chat to you a little bit if they're playing 5v2 and the coaches over there. So like I said, those relationships were literally incredible. Like I could shoot a game now, and one interesting thing is a lot of players have seen me only with a mask on, because I was wearing a mask 24/7 down there, obviously. So I was at a Philly game, and like 5 players recognized me, and then I was in the Revs, and then the Revs, like people recognized me in the Revs, and I had no like prior relationship with anyone with the New England Revolution, but because of the bubble, I have these relationships now. So now, hopefully in the future, if I have an assignment to shoot this player, that player, they see me and they're like, okay, here's in the bubble. I know him. I can be more comfortable and make better images, make better photos, because of the comfort in front of the camera,
Yeah.
And especially the black players. Like the black players, I grew up a player, and I always say I'm like loyal to the players more than anything. Like I'm loyal to what the players want. Like I would skirt around rules if it makes the player more comfortable or whatever,
Right.
And now it's like, and I grew up a soccer player, and that's why I'm so loyal to it. And it's like me sharing the fact that I used to play soccer, and it just like even helped that relationship grow even more,
You played keeper, right?
Yes, brother. I was a goalkeeper. I'm a bit short, but I made up for it with
the hops.
Yeah, like being a goalkeeper is more of like a state of mind type of thing. It's like you
Yeah.
got to be fearless. You have to be aggressive. Like height matters. Like let's not kid ourselves. But like if you can make up for it in other areas, like your decision making and your kicking and your feet and your shot stopping, you can definitely
Mhm.
get away with being a smaller keeper. And you know, people always say the goalkeepers are a different breed, and I would always like, you know, take offense to that. Just being insecure, you know, growing up. A lot of goalkeepers wanted to be field players, and I'm
Oh yeah.
not. And I was definitely one of them. Like I
Mhm.
still play pickup in the field like pretty exclusively now. But I used to take offense to the whole different breed thing, but now I'm starting to embrace it a little bit because you have to be different.
Mhm.
And I think that has driven my photography because I always
Mm.
want to be different. Like I'm always trying to do the next thing, and I'm always trying to innovate. And I'm always trying to, you know, reinvent myself.
Mhm. No, I grew up playing keeper too, so I know the feeling all the way around.
You know,
And
man.
dude, I think if I would have kept up, I would have probably gone to college to play it too. But that itch to be on the field, I think, fucked me up a little bit and it stopped me. And uh,
Bro.
here we are today. But
I feel you, bro. I feel that. I feel that.
did you want to play in the league, or did you want to become a professional?
I mean, I had aspirations from the time I was the very first time I went to a Metro Stars game,
Hmm.
and it was at the time when like Clint Mathis and Eddie Pope, like literally my favorite play. Like you have childhood legends in your life that you'll just kind of idolize or you'll still be starstruck, you know, to this day. And
Hmm.
like for me, that was like the first wave of like the 2002 national team with like DeMarcus Beasley. Like I grew up idolizing DeMarcus Beasley, and like you know, he's not my favorite player now,
Yeah.
but I mean, he is like one of my favorite players now. Like he was like the first black player I saw in the national team, and I was like, this guy is dope. I want to be a left winger. I want to, you know, get in the mix. And I just fell towards goalkeeper, and it's like, goodness gracious, how did that
Right.
happen?
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, it's like that first wave of stars really influenced me, the Metro Stars. So yeah, I was always trying to play pro, always trying to be in the league. Unfortunately, it didn't happen. Uh, but I still like really love and enjoy the game, and that's that's all I can really ask for at this point. You know, I'm not like super tired of soccer itself. You know, I still watch games every day.
Hmm.
So yeah.
But it helps you stay, focused, and when you're out there with the guys, you can definitely be relatable. Being an athlete yourself, that's
Yeah.
partly probably why I feel like I'm in sports too. Is like I grew up being an athlete myself and wanted to stay close to it somehow. So you just kind of live your dream through them in a way.
For sure, bro. It's like you literally just said it. When I first, was trying to become a photographer, and I was like trying to, you know, you're trying to put on a fashion hat and a lifestyle hat and a little personal content creation hat. And I never felt like I fit in anywhere in this photography world. I definitely didn't fit in as a fashion photographer. I definitely really didn't fit in as a lifestyle photographer, or not lifestyle, but as a super, like, I wanted to be like an Instagrammer. I wanted to travel the world, shoot iPhone photos. And the first wave of Instagram really inspired me, but I never really felt like I fit in, and I was never really catching traction, like real traction. And then when I started to shoot like soccer, I was like, oh my God, like I finally found somewhere where I am fluent in the language of soccer, or of where I'm going. And like it was almost immediate when I first shot that one game. My first game was Toronto FC versus New England Revolution. That was the very first game I shot in Toronto because of my boy Bono. And then as soon as I shot that, I was hooked immediately because I was in a stadium with fans. And before that, I didn't really go to that many games.
Mm.
I was in a stadium with fans. I felt this energy. I looked at the players. I related to them. Like I said, I was living my dream. And then ever since then, it's been like pretty much soccer and sport only because, like you said, I feel most comfortable in that realm because of my upbringing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You going back to you said back when we were talking about the Black Lives Matter movement in the bubble, you mentioned that you were kind of going through a time of truth seeking.
Yeah.
Was there anything else that you were kind of like feeling like you're awakening yourself to as far as like finding truth?
Well, I think the one thing with that whole situation that like helped guide me, like I said, the road to enlightenment, and I was talking to Mark Anthony Kay about this in the bubble, and it's like everyone is on their own personal road to enlightenment.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it all takes time. So when this whole thing happened, I was like in my office in my parents' house in Montclair, New Jersey. That's where I was quarantining a lot because New York.
Mm-hmm.
I was in my parents' house in my old office, like on the computer, just scrolling and scrolling and scrolling and seeing all these things. And then it's like there's a face value of stuff like, all right, systemic racism is bad, but then when you start to look at the individual systems and the individual and like the laws and like redlining and gerrymandering, all of this stuff to like oppress Black people. Like, I think people forget that, like, Rosa Parks, Rosa Parks is still alive to this day. Like, integration only happened in like the 60s, and like it happened. Like, my dad helped integrate the public schools in Southern Virginia.
Wow.
So like having my dad as a resource to talk about stuff like this was literally so important as like a compass to how I should feel, because he felt it, And it's like,
Y'all connect more during that time?
For sure. Like, I mean, like, my dad and I have always been really close.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. I'm from the suburbs of New Jersey, so I didn't have a super rough childhood. So like I could consciously like maybe ignore things, or like push things to the side, or give it the benefit of the doubt because of my privilege. And I think that because of this whole thing, I was really forced to confront a lot of things that I potentially would have shied away from just because of my level of comfort and privilege where I was. Like, I'm in a nice apartment in Brooklyn. I don't see like a lot of things all the time, and it's like when people seek the road to, when people are on that road, I think it's really important that they try to put like themselves in other people's shoes.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, I forgot your question because I just went on a huge riff.
It's all
But
good.
yeah, man, it's like I could go on forever about this because it's so important. Like, it's so important for people to try to give back. It's so important for people to try to do the right things. Like, there's like this whole woke culture, and it's like, I'm very down for it. But it's like at the very core of it, I try to think if something is right and if something is wrong, and if something is wrong, we got to change it. And it's like, that's kind of like my compass. It's like, look, this is wrong. We have to change this right now. Like, this can't go on for anymore. Like, if there's like a CEO or something that is racist, like we need to not let him be the CEO of this company anymore. Like, if I honestly found it so funny when Roger Goodell, not to diss Roger Goodell, but I found it so funny when he put out that statement against, not against, but we put out that statement against police brutality and was, we don't like systemic racism, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, NFL, like, you need to shine the mirror on yourselves and see how you guys help perpetuate that. It's like, I still would love to hear a personal apology to Kaepernick, but I mean, it's so, like I said, it's so important for people to try to put themselves in other people's shoes, because like I said, this whole situation is gonna take a long time to do, unfortunately. And it's like, I want it to be done absolutely as fast as possible. But it needs the input of Black people and like everyone needs to work together in this, it's like, it's a really touchy subject, but we can't go and just expect this Black Lives Matter stuff to resolve itself if we're not prepared to work for it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think as someone who's white, trying to everything during the summer was a really big. I mean, I grew up in the South, and I saw a lot of crazy shit and heard a lot of
Yeah, of
crazy shit.
course.
But you still take that upon yourself to learn from everybody, because
Mm,
it's not necessarily your place to be like saying a lot of things. It's more so for me. It was a time for me to like listen
yeah.
to a lot of people. I work with Bakari Sellers here and there, who's on CNN
Mm,
quite a bit, and whose dad was,
legends.
yeah, civil rights activist too himself, and just hearing him talk about things in and out of like a work environment it's a big learning experience, and hearing what from people one on one, hearing their stories too. It really teaches you to that I need to step up more when it comes to
Yeah.
things, uh, putting my friends above myself a lot more often.
Mm,
I think also our culture, being that our business, our like entrepreneurship slash business culture boomed
yeah.
in the past like 20-25 years. So a lot of what we expect to hear, that's like we expect to hear a lot of things from corporations that are like very like robotic and
Yes.
mechanical.
Yes.
And I think we lost track of like being just people, hearing
Mm,
someone come out and just be genuine,
mhm.
unfiltered. I mean, that's another reason why I started this kind of redid this podcast to be a little bit more unfiltered, is because people got some shit to say that they might be scared that businesses might hear, but that's how a real human thinks and talks. Not
Exactly.
There's no, I mean, money aside, this is how it really is. Yeah, I think you hit a good point when it comes to like how the corporations approach things like this, and how they could do a lot better just being more human like.
Well, that's like when this whole thing went down, I was like not enraged. I think enraged is too strong, but I was like, I felt like it was my duty to contact, I would not say like prominent white people in my life, but like I reached out to my college coach like almost immediately, and I was like, look, Mac, and this is before people put out statements. This is before it was like cool to put out statements about Black Lives Matter.
Right.
I went to my coach and I was like, listen, you have Black players on your team. You need to let them know uh, that you support them and that you're going to fight for them. And his main thing was, and I think a lot of like, people who are quiet on this is they're afraid to say the wrong thing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yo, and I'm like, Mac, like, and like preface, like Mac and I, we didn't necessarily have the best relationship before this, just because it's just like a coach and player relationship. I didn't play too much in college. Um, so obviously like I'm still slightly bitter from that just as a competitor. But I called Mac and I haven't spoken to him in years, and I was like, look, you have to say something, because if I was in college and you didn't say anything and you were quiet, I would be very offended as a player.
Hmm.
And Mac's whole thing was, look, I support the players, like I'm down to help. I don't want to say the wrong thing. And what
Mm.
I was saying is just like you. I was like, Mac, you don't need the answers right now. You don't need to put out some crazy calculated statement with all these things. You just need to say that you support the players and you don't know the resolution, but you're committed to helping find the right one, you know? And I feel like I would and when Mac put out a statement, he sounded human. It came from the heart. It came from honesty. It came from a place where he really believed what he was saying, and it came off as very genuine. And I feel like a lot of corporations, even to this day, about all this stuff, is like I feel like a lot of corporations miss that. Like it's not genuine. It's not from the heart. And it's like when you see a statement like what Max said, or you know any other like really genuine statement, you see it and you're like, wow. Or Duke basketball put out a really good statement. Coach K on camera with his mouth, I saw with my own eyes, was like, Black Lives Matters. Say it. Say it. Like, don't be afraid to say it. It's not a bad thing. And and it's like me seeing Coach K say that, someone who has been so important to Black men, who's been like such an important guiding light to Black men in their pursuit of greatness. It's like, all right, like you can tell it's coming from the heart, it's coming from a good place. And it's like, it's so important that we keep ourselves honest. And when these corporations and stuff put out these like mundane, basic cookie cutter, we hear you, we see you, we stand with you, like you're not going to put more time into that statement. You're not going to put more time into that Instagram caption. Like you're gonna post a photo of your Black players, and then all you're gonna say is, "We hear you, we see you, we stand with you," or like, "Nah, we want that." It's not. That's such an easy cop out.
Yeah.
You know, that's so easy, and it's so frustrating because it's like they're corporations that they're so close. You know, they're so close.
Oh, they have a lot of influence. Like huge corporations just have the power to just say something, and it kind of becomes the way.
It's these corporations have so much influence. It's like you look at NASCAR. One thing about this whole thing, about this whole year that was so interesting was like NASCAR came out, took a humongous stance against racism.
Yeah.
NASCAR, like when I think about NASCAR as a northerner, as a man from New Jersey, I think of Confederate flags, like white people drinking beer, like it's very white culture in the South, you know. I'm an outsider looking in, admittedly, like I don't know what's really going on. But NASCAR took a freaking humongous stance against racism. And when they dropped that statement about Bubba, about the Confederate flags, I was like, okay, I'm about to watch a NASCAR race on TV.
Yeah.
Like I'm gonna, pay slightly more attention to it,
But it didn't feel like they were trying to get you to watch NASCAR. They actually they felt like they were like really making a stand.
Literally, exactly. And it's like NASCAR, no matter what their motivation was behind this statement, I don't know. It's definitely good, but they have a new generation of Black, like, don't be surprised in the next like 10 years if you see a wave of Black drivers come through with that statement. Because NASCAR was like, look, we don't got all the answers, but we know that we can help push this. And it's like, all right, Confederate flags, that's not good enough. That noose in Bubba Wallace's garage, like, look, we're taking a hard stand. When we find the people, we're gonna fucking perpetrate them to the ground. Like that.
Well, the fact that they
stance against racism.
The fact that they, the back and forth on whether or not that was intentional or not, just the fact that they still investigated it and they took some initiative on it, even if it was an accident, was meaningful.
It's like they're putting their resources in a pandemic where money's tight towards combating racism. It's a great start. Like we'll judge them, as the years go on, and we'll see if this is, all a charade or not. But they started out the right way. And they, like I said, don't be surprised if you see a wave of Black drivers in the next 10, 15, 20 years. And it's like, my favorite driver was Bubba Wallace. And it's like Bubba Wallace got support from the NASCAR itself to be great. And it's like, that's what we're looking for. It's like, that's what we're looking for support and honesty and like good intentioned moves from these leagues that will help really change things, It's so important.
Yeah. It's interesting. It's interesting to kind of keep track of NASCAR to see how well they kind of hold on to that movement themselves. Because I mean, again, coming from the South, I know how that culture can be. And it's, I've never been to a NASCAR race, but I know plenty of people who've been going to them, and it's just like they just got to make sure that they're holding those people accountable when they show up to those races. You've seen like the airplanes flying above the races. Like I remember seeing that shit like during football games. Like they started doing that during football games where they're flying statements, and I remember I was going to vote at State Farm.
Yeah.
There was an airplane flying over Atlanta, like just with I can't remember what it was. It was some Trump BS, but it was down here. It's kind of like another battle down here as far as like trying to get people on board with that mentality.
I think a lot of people, like, it's really interesting that you say that, because I'm in a bubble in New York where everyone thinks the exact same way as me. Everyone dresses the same. We're all very unified, and anti, and like we want racism to end, honestly. And you coming from the South, it's a completely different world. And it's like, I think a lot of people, when they talk about this, and they get comfortable just agreeing with everyone in their culture and their bubble, and not like really trying to see what other people are thinking. And it's like,
well, it goes down to that kind of like, was it the mentality of your tribe around you.
yeah,
If you can't agree with them, you're going to get cast out of the
mm,
tribe.
exactly,
And it's not just like that down here. It's like you feel kind of intimidated by a lot of people who, if they might harm you if you don't
exactly.
believe what you believe.
That's
So
so interesting. Like I said, this whole thing is so interesting because America is so big, man. Like, America has so many different parts of it. And it's like, we've in America, we've just let this like bubble and fester for way too long. And that's why I felt it upon myself to really share what I thought, because um I was never super overtly political about things. And Black Lives Matter is not a political statement, but I was never like, I was I kept things to myself because I didn't want to, go career suicide on myself, and potentially like anger people. But because of my position and because of who I am, and the little amount of influence that I have, I felt like it was my duty. I felt compelled to share the good word of Black Lives Matter, because it's people like me who are going to help push it. People who aren't always the most vocal, and I can inspire people to be more vocal about this. And it's like, in the soccer world, it was never overtly fuck Trump. It was never overt. It was just like, it was little jabs at stuff. But like, I was like, look, I'm gonna try to make this my mission to be like, yo, soccer is pro-black as hell. Soccer is black as hell. Soccer is pro-black. Like, soccer supports black players. And I'm just a little voice in a huge ocean of people. But like, I felt compelled to help influence people. And I've seen other people come back to me and say, Matt, like, thank you for sharing what you thought. Like, you helped inspire me and you gave me the courage to speak out about racism. And that's all I want. I want to
yeah.
help inspire people. I want to help support people, and it
Mhm.
doesn't matter if they're black, white, Asian, like, it doesn't matter. It's like, I just want people to know that there's nothing wrong with telling the truth.
Yeah.
And there's nothing to shy away from if something is wrong. And if you call out something that's wrong, that's okay. Like, you will become a leader because of your bravery. People, it's like tribal, people will follow the leader, and it's like, that's why I felt like, I got like, 4,000, 5,000 Instagram followers. And at the time I was like, look, I haven't said nothing about this. And I got this little audience. I need to say something. It's a detriment if I don't say anything,
Mhm.
and it it's this road, like I said, this road to enlightenment. I'm on a road, and when everything first went down, I got off my chest. Like, I felt this like almost euphoria, because it's like, look, I'm really speaking up for something that I truly believe in, and I don't have to lie about it or sugarcoat how I feel,
Mhm.
And this was like one of the first times that, like you said, you were just listening. A lot of people were starting to listen to what I had to say in a more meaningful way,
Mhm.
which is all I can ask for, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's definitely a time to speak your truth. And if, like myself growing up, I've been very, very scared of conflict. So
Yeah,
therefore conversations were well, they were one of those things that I felt like were conflicts. If someone disagreed with me, I felt like an argument was about to happen, and I just avoided it because I knew there
of
was just an
course.
argument about to happen.
Hmm.
Um, but I think it's also like going back to uh, people speaking up and saying their truth. There are people who maybe have these points of views that are misguided, or they've been stuck in this bubble, like you said, for so long that that's all they know. And to
Yeah.
step out and maybe say what they believe, and then have somebody that's maybe willing to hear them out rather than retaliate so quickly, but just hear them out and then explain, okay, well, let's have a conversation about, what you believe, what I believe. That way we can grow to have like a better understanding of one another. Because a lot of this shit's fear. A lot of this is
A lot
fear.
of it is fair.
And I think part of why, for you and I, in a sense, to speak up, it's because we're scared of what we, our work, like the people that might hear what we say and are like, all right, well, sorry, but we can't have you a part of our team, or a part of our, we can't have you taking photos and having a name associated with us because of what you said. But I think I've seen quite a bit of artists get really, really fed up with, just being kind of this person doing a thing for people and just earning a paycheck and then going home. I think a lot of people see a lot of negative things happening, especially in our industry. What are some things that you feel like are happening in our industry that you feel like just need some change?
Well, number one, I feel like majority of photographers are getting taken advantage of, honestly. Just because, like, one thing that has always made me mad about not photography, but sports photography is like, all right, you need these photos as soon as possible, high quality edits, shooting from raw, mid game, and I'm dying, like busting my ass trying to get these photos to you.
Mm.
And then it takes you 90 plus days to pay me. It's like, all right,
No, I feel that.
I'm not a accountant or whatever. I don't know how long all this is supposed to take or the money's coming from, but like, look, you are busting my ass, getting on my phone constantly trying to get these photos, and then it takes so long for you guys to pay me. Like, what the hell? And that's just, I don't know if that can change, but that's
Yeah.
just one thing. That's one of many things where it's like, oh my days.
Well, at least the
It's so
direct
frustrating.
deposit, like a lot of people are still stuck on checks. I'm like, can we at least move on to like some sort of
Exactly.
direct deposit system?
Dude, there's nothing better than when you get that notification and it's like a little check in your bank. You're like, mission complete. I
Yes.
mean, one other thing that has like really taken a toll on me, and maybe as to why I've like taken a slight step back from photography during the pandemic to focus on other things, is because the sheer amount of content and quality that you're expected to do without, like, having real like quality checks
Yeah.
really, really used to frustrate me, because it's like, all right, we only have this amount of time. We can only do this. We need the photos ASAP. It doesn't even really matter what they look like. And it's like, that got me into like a really bad place where I'm just shooting to for a checklist. I'm like, all right, I have a photo of this one player dribbling, or I have this one guy in the shoot doing one thing, and it's like not the greatest, but I know that it'll do,
Yeah.
And it's, I think that's a really bad way to speak as a photographer, as a creative, because it's like, I want to put things out on the ether that I'm very proud of,
Mhm.
and that is completely something that I can show, that can be portfolio worthy. And you don't get portfolio worthy shoots all the time, or stuff, but the whole thing with like this immediacy of the content takes a lot out of me, and it and that's why it's like Dem Juans has become so prevalent, because it's like my own passion project where I can control the level of creativity, I can control the quality, I can be hard on myself. It's like, um because of the way Instagram and content is, and also it's really frustrating. It's like, you put all this money behind the shoot, you're playing so hard for it. It's shoot day, you get the photos done, you get your photos up, and then it's like, we post it to Instagram stories, or we post it on a post, and it's
Yeah.
like, dog, I sunk like 500, not 500, but I've sunk like so many thinking hours into this and how it's going to be perceived, and then it's like, it doesn't, it can turn out how you like it, but it's just another piece of, another cog in the machine.
Right.
And it's like, that's why with Dem Ones, it's like I have this opportunity to really like flex my creative muscle or do whatever I want to do. And it's like feeding my soul creatively.
Yeah.
Whereas I felt like at times photography, it was just burning me out. Honestly, I was like, oh man, like I just balls to the wall 100% of the time with this photo stuff, and it's like I don't really get to be creative because I need to just get everything out as soon as possible, And
Mm-hmm.
if you look at my work uh, before like I got real super into like long lenses and stuff, it was very honest, and it was like I think at times more reflective of how I felt. And when you get on this like this ticking time bomb of shooting things in game and you need to get this stuff immediately, it can at times be a detriment to your creativity. So after, when the fans come back, I'm definitely going to take a completely different approach to shooting games, because I want to get back to where i'm not i'm not I'm taking the photos and everything more seriously and not just ticking something off of a shot list.
Yeah. No, I think you bring up a good point about the whole burnout and, kind of pursuing something outside of that burnout that helps kind of, I guess, balance you back.
Yeah.
I'm interested to see what the next couple of years look like when it comes to businesses and entrepreneurs and stuff like that, because I feel like there could be quite a bit of like, you know artists that felt a lot of burnout from a lot of the things that they were doing previously, and they
Mm.
took a lot of their passion projects to the next level, and you'll see a lot of that, I'm assuming, to happen. But that's just kind of a little side
Well,
idea.
I mean, like, I'll say this: I'm not the only photographer who, and Dem Ones is not a merch line. It's like a brand. Like it's a brand. It's a brand. It's not a merch line. But you see a lot of photographers. They're like coming out with T-shirts and they're coming out with a lot of things, and it's like there's like two camps. It's like, all right, there's the camp that is trying to make money out of this, but then there's the camp that really cares about this and is like
Yeah.
feeding their soul. Like you
Yeah.
said, like burnout, like my skin is burned, right? It's like
Mm.
this passion project is aloe vera for me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's like Dem One just become this like it has grown bigger than I ever even thought it would be, and it's not even that big yet. And it's because people
Do you feel like it's giving you a
take it.
better sense of purpose?
Yeah, for sure. It's like people really care about things that are honest and genuine, and Dem Ones is honest and genuine. It's like it's like my handwriting, like on the back of my, like it's my handwriting. It's like on the back of my shirt is like the places I've lived in the world,
Huh.
and it's like
You're
these type,
you're taking us through your journey. Like we're
exactly,
living kind of like we're living your story through that brand.
exactly, and it's like that's why I think you see a lot of photographers popping up with these merch lines or whatever, or, selling prints, and it's like selling photos that I've never even seen on their Instagram, because they want to get back to a place in their creative process where they're proud of the things that they do, and they're not just a cog in the machine, And it's like COVID has given us time to do that. If before COVID, I had shoots all the time. I was going to games and traveling all the time, and I'm grounded for a bit, and it's giving me time to like center myself and get to a place creatively where it's like, all right, I'm ready for the next steps, to take my next steps into this photography journey, like to refine myself and realize that, look, I don't necessarily want to do this anymore when I'm shooting games or when I'm on shoots. I want to get back. I want to get to a place where I'm in a place where I'm way more proud, and it's way more true to who I am, and it speaks to who I am more.
Mhm. I'm gonna pause for a second. If you need to do
Cool.
anything. So I really like the fact that you're doing this passion project, to going to the next level with the passion project, because I, I I think COVID really was, of course it was a curse, but a little bit of a blessing for a lot of people, because it really made people slow down and see what's kind of going on in their life, what they find true purpose in, what true meaning, and it helps people really start to see where they need to start uh, like pivoting to when it comes to keeping those avoiding burnout more. Dude,
Yes.
I feel you on the turnover, how quick the turnover can be, and how frustrating it can be, and how it can kind of wreck the creativity, because there's just a lot of you going into things. A lot of, when you say creativity, it's kind of just like just a lot of yourself you're putting into these shoots, and for people to kind of take those and then just like pop them up real quick, and then they trickle down into the feed, and they're just all that you just put a lot of effort into just goes away. It's
Bro, it sucks so bad, honestly. Ugh.
yeah,
You can put in so much time into something, and then it's like it goes on the gram and it's gone in 2 days.
yeah,
It's like, what?
right. Well, I mean, to understand social media better, I mean, it is this thing that we do use quite often. Like, we're literally scrolling through that shit like for so long. We're just, taking in so much. So it does make sense a little bit to kind of like keep throwing things in there. I don't know. I feel like social media will kind of figure itself out because it is still young.
Mm.
But yes, right now it is a weird time for people like us, because we get so frustrated with things that can be these really meaningful pieces, and like I tell this story all the time when it comes to like getting where it kind of broke me, and I realized the same thing you are, is
Mm.
doing something for MLB on their stories one night, and it was like a big moment for the Braves. Like, the McCann hit a walk-off and it being his 1000th RBI, and I'm sitting there doing vertical
Mm.
video for Instagram stories. Like, I could have used my strength to their advantage and my
Exactly.
advantage, but no, like, this is what we need. I'm like, well, I
Dude, it's the worst. You're like seeing life pass you by almost. It's like you're seeing opportunities go awry because you have to do this one thing because of social media. It's like Instagram now is like kind of like it's an unrecognizable app than it was 2 3 years ago. It's like Instagram shopping. Who wants to buy things on Instagram? Like, I joined Instagram. Instagram, look, it's a humongous part of my life. Like, it's the reason I'm a photographer. It has inspired me so much. And it's like now on the gram, I got reels, all these freaking videos, all of this. Got like, look, I love Instagram as just photography, and the video aspect was cool because you saw people get creative with video. But then it's like when they started just copying people. Look, copying plagiarism never flew like in my corner of photography, like copying a shoot, copying the exact same things as someone creatively. And then it's like to see Instagram just like straight up rip Snapchat and to rip
TikTok.
TikTok
Yeah.
was absolutely shocking. And to add, I saw this one guy on Twitter. He was like, he's, I don't know, some dude who works at Instagram, and he was talking about how shopping is a huge step for Instagram. And it's like, for corporations, it's a huge step for corporations to sell us more shit during a pandemic, which is bullshit. But for like me, it's like, all right, I'm not, I don't want to sell Dem Juans on Instagram ever, because
Yeah.
Instagram is a place where I can showcase my photos, you know? And it's like the gram is frustrating because it's such an important part, but at the same time, it's like they're falling into this trap of like, we got to be this catch all social media when before it was just about sharing photos,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. No, it's a started off with as an honest, with an honest idea.
Yeah.
And then, the whole corporate mentality caught up. I don't know, like, have you ever seen somebody get featured by Instagram, by the way?
I know one person that got featured, and their followers and everything went up like crazy. They got like, million, like 20,000 followers, and then after that feature's gone, they have all these followers, and then the engagement doesn't follow anymore.
Dude, I know people too that did that. And that kind of speaks to a little bit of this, like, okay, so what's Instagram really, if it's gonna sit there and feature people and it be the platform, and
Yes.
it's being fake as shit too. Like
It's like, yo, everyone's capping, bro. It's crazy. Crazy.
No, it's I loved Instagram too. I loved it at the beginning too, or at least when I first started using it, just to share work and meet people. You know, I would travel to like Jacksonville. I traveled up to Atlanta. I traveled fly to Chicago to meet people, and it was good times every time. But now I don't know. Instagram has become such a frustrating thing for a lot of creative people, because I think it is burning people out, and it's making people feel like they're losing their purpose quite a bit.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah.
I think that look, Instagram, when it first dropped for me, like I'm not like a classically trained photographer. Like I took one photo class in college that I couldn't even go to because of soccer. I was just like had to skip the lab for training every day. But you would go on Instagram and you'd be connected with all of these sick photographers, and you'd be able to like research and see all of these like photographers and my contemporaries and like their work, and I would be so inspired. I would literally be so inspired. But just because of the way that likes are, and we're like trained, it got to a point where even me, and I always preach this, that people shouldn't be like disheartened by the success of other people, but I would see other people on the gram like being super successful with photos that I necessarily didn't always like, or I would not get it, and I would get butthurt from it. Like honestly, like I would get butthurt, and I'm not like an envious or jealous person, but I would see it and be like, all right, now I gotta do that, like and I think that's so unhealthy. And it's really funny that Instagram is like, oh, we're gonna hide likes, to protect the mental health of people, but also we're also gonna make our platform a shopping platform to sell you more stuff. It's like contradictory as hell.
You're like, we need to balance this bag out to fucking y'all up, but
yeah. It's like ridiculous.
No, the shopping thing still doesn't make sense to me. It looks really similar to like how kind of like Facebook does their thing. I don't get it. It kind of looks like it's in its baby stage of whatever it's trying to do. I mean, I didn't mind when you could tag, and then like if you're trying to sell something, you just tag it and you could see the price and it'll send you to the link to.
Yes,
that's fine. But like they created like a whole other platform for it, and that's kind of where it's just like, y'all are trying too hard.
Yeah, it's like, you want me to put my credit card information onto Instagram?
No.
And then I have like, just buy now on Instagram? No way, Jose. I'm not down. It's just like more ways for people to squeeze money out of us during a pandemic. Because like, honestly, I don't go on Instagram shopping, but if I see a crazy product and it has like an Instagram shopping link, like I will definitely look, because I'm curious. And it's like, damn, I can get this on the gram right now, but it's like, who's going shopping on the gram? That's like flawed. That's inherently flawed, because Instagram is a place to share images, not to sell things. I think that's when Facebook bought Instagram, I remember thinking to myself like, damn, this is like going to be the slow dwindling downfall of the gram, because Facebook, I don't go on Facebook anymore. If I log on, I logged on like maybe a week ago, and it looks completely different than when the last time I logged on, which was like months before that, know?
Yeah. That was a place for me to see, like, basically just people from back home that I have on there that I can just kind of keep up with what's going on back home, which is not really the best thing during an election time.
It's mad funny. It's like there's like two parts of social media. There's like MySpace and Facebook, who are like the first part when it was like you're on your computer, and then it's like the apps on your mobile phone are like the second part of that, And it's like you said, I go on Facebook and I only see high school friends.
Mm-hmm.
And it's tumultuous place, that Facebook, I'll tell you that much. so so
Yes.
I like, I stay away just for like, I'm trying to be smart with my mental health and my happiness. So I'm just like, I'd rather not see when people are spiraling down a super, crazy plot hole. I don't want to need to see that. But yeah,
Well,
it's like
it goes back to
so
having
different.
more honest, like having conversations like you and I are having, or I mean, I prefer in person. Like I wish I could
Yeah.
do this shit more often in person, but
Yeah.
having these kind of conversations helps, because there is a side of people that I think they try to put out their ideas and opinions on social media, but then of course they have no empathy because they just put it, it's just type and they just kind of throw it out there, whoever. And a lot of times it's people who have relatable ideas,
Mm.
in their own bubble, that are sitting there just agreeing and building that idea more and more. But having more one-on-one conversation, I think it's something that's needed, big time.
Yes. Yes, because people can't hide behind a computer screen. They
Yeah.
actually have to like see the person's face when they talk about something that really affects them. They have to feel that energy, and it's like we can't. Keyboard warriors are sick. Like, people on I love a good Twitter thread. Honestly, like I live for those, like when people are just spitting facts and they're just like going off. But it's like, all right, that's gonna educate me, but like you said, the in-person conversations with someone that is not aligned with you politically is very important. And
Yeah.
it's like, I can't go into a conversation with someone that doesn't align with me politically. And I can't go in that conversation thinking I'm going to change their opinion and not be open to them potentially changing my opinion or
Yeah.
showing me something that I didn't think of before. And it's like all goes back to this thing is we have to put ourselves in other people's shoes,
Mm-hmm.
It's like there might be like some sort of raging Trump fan, and it's like you get to the bottom of why they like Trump, and it's like something, you know, it's something that might not be super malicious. It like comes down to like protecting their family. I don't know, but
I
like
mean,
I take everything with a grain of salt. But
I've seen that quite a bit, especially with people that are my age and younger, when it comes to that, kind of radical idea of, what Trump stood for and everything. And
yeah,
it's more so the fear, again, going back to fear of their parents and things like that.
yeah, it's like it's like these young people. So like this is the way my dad put it to me. It's like my dad and people. My dad's like 50s, 58 maybe. Dang, he's
Mhm.
old. He's 58. He grew up in a time of like, part of his life he was segregated.
Mhm.
So then you have, like white families and other families who grew up in segregation also and are used to and grew up in a completely different time than the time we're in now. But those parents are still spewing like vile hate into these like people our age. And it's like, yo, and they're just in a circle of getting enabled by their peers. And it's like, that's why I love to, I don't love to talk to Trump supporters or whatever, but like a lot of these things are easily debunkable. I find,
Well, it's I feel like I see, going back to the people that I know that can be a little over the top with their ideas when it comes to that stuff, is you see this like subconscious side of themselves sometimes too, where they're like actually nice, or they actually have empathy for other people. It's just when they're
yes,
put in that like setting where they know, like, okay, I was taught to react this way in this circumstance, that's when you see the nastiness. But a lot of these people are still, it's like they know what the time is, and
exactly.
it's a part of them, it's part of everybody that's kind of like in our generation. It's just kind of like, again, I think this is amazing that podcasts are starting to become such a huge thing, because it's
Yeah,
legit conversations and a lot more unfiltered conversations, and it's more in a controlled setting so people don't get so scared of like, retaliation. I mean, the whole cancel culture stuff is pretty wild. I get that, but
crazy.
it's that's hopefully something that kind of dwindles off a little bit, because we need a lot of people to just talk it out and understand each
Exactly.
other and take time. It's not going to take one conversation every time.
I think the issue with a lot of people is everyone just thinks that they're right, and that there's no interpretation of how things are supposed to be, understood. And it's like, no, everyone is just seeking the truth, and it's like we need to have more honest conversations about these things so we can come to a place of agreement or disagreement. But like, I think a lot of people are so like headstrong on how they feel, and so it's like so absolute. It's either yay or nay. And honestly, for me, even it's like I'm guilty of this myself.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh, you either with us or against us. Like, yeah, like that is honestly how I feel at times. But I think it's bad if we just like immediately don't listen to someone else just because of the things that they've said, especially if it's face to face, because face to face is completely different than talking on the computer.
Yeah.
I think that and we lack a lot of empathy. Everyone lacks empathy. And I think that a lot of people are taught to just be hard and just be unapologetic. And it's like, yo, I think a lot of these conversations need to come from places of love and concern more. Just because if everyone is just headstrong with all this hate, it's just nothing's ever going to get done. And we see this all the time. And it's like I said, when I would be talking about Black Lives Matter stuff, in the beginning, I have all these people in my DMs trying to like talk down to me or not listen to me. And it's like, you guys aren't listening at all. Like, I'm saying things that are not political, that's not racist at all. Like, I'm just speaking the truth, or I'm putting out facts, and people just don't agree with the facts if it doesn't suit what they're trying to say, and like I said, there needs to be more empathy, but it's hard to get to a place when you have a president that has been so divisive for so long, who has literally sowed seeds of divide into his fan base, where it's like they're not even considering listening to us at all,
Well, I look at that whole situation with Trump as a kind of like a window into like the corporate culture too, because he himself, he's a huge business owner, and that's again where these conversations we're talking about in society, but also need to happen in business culture too, because there's people like him doing shit like that inside their own businesses, and you can't say anything because he's the boss, or there's no accountability happening when it comes to those big businesses. And I mean, shit, any business, to be honest, small businesses can be the same way.
I mean, if you look at it, it's like a lot of NFL owners have donated to Trump. A lot of MLS owners have donated to the Republican Party. A lot of NBA owners have been, have donations to that. So it's like, if you think Trump is alone and people of power who feel that way, then it's like you're sadly mistaken. At the top, it's just us. And I say that, and it's like, yo, all those guys are trying to keep all the wealth to themselves, honestly. So they could, and that's like a huge dilemma, like personally with me, where I see all these people talking about, oh, Black Lives Matter this, Black Lives Matter that, but you're still like donating to Trump, or you're still like giving funds to a man, who just tries to sow seeds. But I mean, he got voted out. Hopefully things will get better. But we're still in the embassy of trying to like, heal. I think we need to heal as a country. We need to like, everyone needs to love each other a bit more, put the arm around their neighbor more. But it's so easy for me to say, like I said, in a place of New York where everyone thinks like me. I go outside, I just see like Bernie bros, Biden bros. Like I see all the guys. I don't see a lot of Trump supporters where I am.
Yeah.
So like I said, it's easy for me to say that, but it's like I'm not in a place in the South. So, maybe I need to go on a road trip.
Man, I tell you
how I feel.
I think we can wrap it up here shortly, because I know you got some stuff you got to get to. But I remember, so back when I think it was 2016, I was still working at Valdosta State, and Trump came through to do his Trump rally at VSU. He actually
Yeah.
came to speak in the gym, and I was like, I remember I was helping the school photographer shoot the event, and man, I'm telling you, that day was a big learning. It was kind of like a wake up call to like, oh, this stuff is kind of actually real. Like how,
Yes.
I remember sitting by the gym with my camera, and a bunch of Trump supporters were kind of gathered around the gym. And one of the guys who was part of like a farmers union or something like that came over to me, and he's like, oh, what are you doing over here? And I was like, oh, I'm just waiting on to go inside. He's like, oh, are you with the media? You have a camera? I'm like, I'm just here taking photos. And he's like, well, are you with the media? And he was trying to go into that, like that argument about the media. Yeah. And it's one, like, I would love to have a conversation with someone like that, but in an environment like that where, there's him and then there are all the people that are behind him. Like, it's not the place to, people can't hide behind those people if we want to have these conversations. Like, if you literally want to get your point across, come to a better situation where the person's not feeling like they're ganged up on, and just one-on-one conversation is all you got to have.
Exactly. Dude, it's like, I mean, I can only imagine in that situation, he probably felt like threatened when he's like, are you with the media?
Yeah.
Are you with the fake news? And you're like you don't want to say yes, but you're with like the school photographer. So like, technically you might've been with the media, but at the same time, it's like, I don't mean any malicious harm of what I'm doing. I'm just doing my job. And it's like, there's so much emphasis put on the media where it's like, even, and I see it now as a photographer. So do you probably.
Yeah.
Where it's like, players don't want to talk to the media because they don't want to get their words flipped up or switched up.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's like, dog, I'm if you know anything about me, I'm player first. I'm not going to make you look bad. I'm not going to, my goal is to not exploit you for anything. My goal is to only uplift you.
Yeah.
And it's like, there's all this media talk, and it's like really hurting people like us who like, are just honest photographers trying to make a living.
Dude, yeah, I think we do get associated with the media quite a bit. And I think what people need to understand when they are saying the media, it's more so the people that are pushing the narrative more so than the people capturing the what's happening. People capturing, we have no control over what the people we give the media to does. Like, I mean, that's probably where a lot of like this disconnect is happening with artists like ourselves and corporations and outlets that we work for are happening, because you can give them something that is meant to be like this amazing this shot to tell the story of the day, and then they could easily put some copy behind it in a title, and it's flipped the whole meaning of it.
Dude, that's like the photographer's biggest fear, honestly.
Yeah.
It's like, do not flip my photo in a negative way, for me at least.
Yeah, and it's especially when it comes to players too, because there could be a big misunderstanding with what we do and what we capture with the guys, because trust me, there are moments that I'm sure we capture that are definitely not meant to be seen by the light of other people.
Exactly.
Yeah, but we're not gonna, like, it's a trusting, it's a relationship that needs to be built over time, especially with the players, because you have to kind of show over time that you're not going to do something like that. There are people who have done stupid shit like that, and I get that.
Of course.
It's not like where you show up one time and you gain the trust. If you can do that, then
you're sick if you can gain trust in one time.
Right. But you might be kind of like a sociopath, to be honest, because you might be doing something sketch too. But
exactly.
It takes some time for sure.
That trust, like you said, it's so important. It's just so important. And it's like just circling back to the bubble, it's like so great, honestly, on a personal standpoint, that I can have these honest relationships with so many players now because of the bubble, where it's like they see me and they know like I'm not out to maliciously get them.
Yeah.
And they'll recognize me and they'll like look down the barrel of my lens for even better photos. It's like that relationship is so important, and I really hate if it gets ruined. So they gotta stop talking down on the media. But yeah.
No, it can be pretty impactful if it keeps happening like that.
Yeah.
But tell people where they can find you, man.
Well, you can find me on my Instagram at @ByStith, and on my Twitter. On Twitter, I literally only talk about Arsenal Football Club, though. I talk about Arsenal and then, some things, but my website is MatthewStith.com. And then right now for Dem Juans, you can just go to demjuans.com. That's where you can.
Spell that out.
It is DEMJUANS.com. And I've never spelled it out with my mouth before. That's funny. I've never spelled it out, but it's like if you want to see like what I'm going through creatively, you can go to my archives of Dem Juans and you can see like my entire photographic journey almost of like where I started and where I am now. And it's like that's what it was meant to be, and that's what it will always be. My life as a mood board of things that I do. But we're gonna have some more clothing coming out soon, so keep a lookout for that.
Damn. Okay. Cool. Just in time for Christmas too.
Just in time for Christmas.
All right, man. Well, I appreciate you talking with me and being open and honest about everything.
It was great, bro.
It means so a lot.
Good. Thank you.
Yeah, no
problem. Thank you for having me. Thank you.
No problem, man. And until next time, we look forward to chatting with you in the near future.
Bro. Next Atlanta United Media Day.
Oh my God. Hopefully.
No, there is one anymore.
Right. Exactly. All right, man.
All right, my bro. Thank you so much.
No problem. Have a good day, dude.
What you gonna play now?